If you're uncertain on where to place your bets in 2024 when it comes to outbound pipe gen or tech budget strategy, you're going to want to spend the next 15 minutes to hear what my friend Leslie Venetz has to say. She is the founder of Sales Team Builder, an advisor, a mentor, a LinkedIn top voice, and a leader in the go-to-market world. Stay tuned. Well, I'm super excited to hang out with Leslie Venetz today. There's very few people that have the visual into what's coming better than Leslie.
I'm so excited to be here. I love this topic because I spend a ridiculous amount of time thinking about it and writing about it and talking with people about sales and what we have to look forward to in the coming months and years. I am the founder of Sales Team Builder. So I founded my own company a few years ago, ran it as like a passion project side hustle, and then not quite 2 years ago, made it my full-time gig. I get to do sales, training, skill sets, and mindsets and go-to-market consulting. But prior to that, spent 15 years predominantly in player coach roles, running really big teams, but still leading from the front. A lot of experience in enterprise sales, like penetrating C-suite titles at Fortune 500 orgs. And then I spent 2 extremely eventful years as employee number 1 at a bootstrap startup, like creating and launching the MVP, running the GTM from scratch. So yeah, I've sold to a ton of different ICPs at a ton of different price points and sales cycles. I am kind of B2B sales obsessed.
B2B sales obsessed is, I guess I fall in that bucket with you. One thing is really powerful about what you just said are those different perspectives, right? Often kind of people seeking knowledge outside of their own org only have their perspective. This strategy that may work for a large enterprise sales development motion may not be the best fit for an SMB company with 3 sellers on their team. Your kind of perspective there is one thing that's super exciting because not all strategies are created equal. So I'm really pumped to dig in there. 2023 and the end of 2022 were pretty wildly chaotic years in SaaS and tech sales, right? You had, obviously the SVB bank collapse. You had the economy downturn. You had all of these really scary things for people in our world. And I think a lot of people right now are coming up for air. Things have kind of balanced out, but everybody's looking forward to 2024 and going, what's next, right? What do I have to mentally and, get my heart ready for in 2024 because 2023 was tough. Outbound pipe gen, I know this is probably your favorite topic on the list. Specifically with sales development and top of funnel outbound prospecting, Leslie, how is that world going to look different in 2024?
Ooh, it definitely is going to look different in 2024. I think one of the primary shifts that we're going to see is that SaaS has now moved out of a growth at all costs phase into a leaner phase. So we're going to see a lot of SaaS organizations question their SDR to AE alignment model. And we're going to see a lot of SaaS organizations continue to trim down or consolidate their tech stack. It's been really funny, Brian, because, and I'm sure you've seen this on LinkedIn as well, I'm seeing so many SaaS leaders talk about the full cycle AE role like it is something that they have recently invented. Have you guys ever heard of this? I'm like, y'all, like full cycle AEs never left. The full cycle AE or full cycle seller role is the most common B2B sales role across industries. SaaS just didn't have to care about it for a while because there was so much money being pumped in that the math behind the SDR to AE alignment didn't necessarily have to math for a while there. So I think we are going to see SDR teams being used more strategically. And I think we are going to see the ask of AEs to own meetings with like hand raisers, own meetings for re-engage. We're going to see that increase. So I think there's going to be more strategic approach. I don't think we're going to see the SDR to AE alignment leave, but I think we are going to see a more strategic approach to how that is the right financial choice for the organization, and also how that best serves the customer to remove friction and make sure we're not having like an SDR and then an AE and then a solutions engineer and then a other person and then a CS all touch a customer in a couple week sales cycle before they're allowed to actually use the product. Folks are finally starting to understand that doing more of the stuff that already wasn't working isn't the right play. Like we saw a huge increase of volume of just really, really shitty outbound. There's no nice way to say that. People were like, ooh, AI. Let's do a bunch more of all of these emails that nobody was responding to because and there is this like very false narrative, Brian, that I see when I do discovery calls with organizations that they're like, oh no, our emails are good. They work. Like we just set 3 meetings this week. Cool. How many emails did you send out to get those 3 meetings? And they're like 5,000. I'm like, right. Okay. So I would argue that that doesn't actually work because it's not the volume of meetings set. It's the conversion ratios that we need to look at from calls made and emails sent and, LinkedIn connects or InMail sent, whatever channel you're using. It's the conversion ratio that we need to really look at to dictate whether or not what we're doing is successful. And I think we're going to see a greater emphasis on the ratio, not just the result in 2024.
I think like order of operations is really important. You can do the right thing at the wrong time. And I think if you're just investing in volume at the wrong time and you haven't figured out messaging and your ICP and those conversion rates are bad, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Whereas if you really dial in and get your call conversion rate at a great spot, get your email rates at a really good spot, and then you're like, okay, this thing's really working, right? Now maybe we can double down because we know we have those pieces in place. I think a lot of people in our world have done it this way just because it's always been done that way, right? And it's the easy thing to do. But I think once you build some of those muscles that you described, you realize it's not as easy as you thought, and doing it the right way is even better.
Folks seem to be looking for a silver bullet, and you see this a lot with how much tech stack expanded, but like just this one new piece of tech that'll be the answer. And it's not the case. Like there is no silver bullet, to your point, Brian. Like the work we do is both simple and hard. Maybe this is a dream and a hope. I hope it's a reality, not just a dream. For intent data, we're going to see the expected outcome of that intent increase. Like right now, we have a lot of intent data providers or a lot of people using intent data as like, oh, somebody clicked on my case study. They're clearly ready to buy. Or this person reads my tweets or visits my website. And then we reach out to them with an email that's like, hi, Brian, I saw you downloaded our white paper. Should we set up time to speak? And so I hope an evolution that we see in that top of funnel outreach and how we are using intent data is looking at intent data with a more critical eye and not forgetting that just because some sort of engagement that we're viewing as intent, not confusing that for actual intent, meaning interest to buy. Maybe it is just intent in terms of a willingness to learn more. But I hope in 2024, we see reps do more work to like earn the right to ask for a prospect's consideration instead of assuming that them having clicked on a webinar link means they want to give us money.
I'm downloading a piece of content. That could be my first time interacting with your brand. And if you're hitting me with hey, schedule a 15-minute meeting right here. That's not why I downloaded this, right? I'm already being hard sold, and you haven't earned my business or even earned the right to talk to me. So I love what you said there because I think that experience is so vital from day one because they're always going to remember that. Let's dig in a little further. What's one specific play you should or should not be running right now when it comes to outbound pipe gen?
Value-based segmentation is a yes. Big should. Value-based segmentation being the mix between generic outbound and hyper-personalized outbound. And so here's what I saw a lot of in 2023, and I know that you saw this too, most people listening probably did, is folks thinking that they were sending personalized outbound when they weren't. And so those emails looked like the name of the most recent person that left you a testimonial on LinkedIn, and then a completely unrelated message. That's not personalization. And we saw just a huge rise in that type of completely meaningless generic personalization because folks were told they had to personalize and it became a bit of a check the box activity. Reps and sales leaders are now finally asking themselves, if this doesn't move the needle, is it worth doing? P.S. Loved your most recent testimonial on LinkedIn. And I'm like, what? Why are you telling me that? That does Please stop. So I think finding the blend between that total crap type of personalization that doesn't move the needle because it's completely meaningless, and the other side where people are spending like an hour researching before sending a single email or making a single call, which like really that strategy works for so few organizations that are doing like big deal sizes and maybe running like exclusively an ABM or a key accounts approach. So the middle ground, how to blend quantity and quality, is value-based segmentation. That's the play I think everybody should be running. That's what I'm running with all of my clients right now. How can you take your ICP and then build in a couple more layers? So it is, you're not just selling to finance executives. The email's only designed for CFOs that have been in seat for less than 1 year. It's not an email that could be sent to all industries in your ICP profile. It's only for CPG organizations between 6 and 10 billion in revenue. So you're looking for those additional layers of segmentation that allow you to write an email that's not one-to-one, it's one-to-many, but it's one-to-many with just this surety that you are speaking to the pain points and speaking the language of that subset of your ICP.
We need to do a better job of talking about and is understanding the people we're reaching out to, right? The VP of sales at a 100-person company cares about something way different than the VP of sales at a 1,000-person company. Like it's not the same job, right? And I think that type of what I call attention to detail, right? Difference between good and great's in the details. That's how you get better. And that's how you don't waste time on some of these things that people think are revenue generating activities, but aren't. And like once you really refine that segmentation, I really love that. That's a project we did last year. So you saying that makes me feel a little better about it.
That's I think like the opposite of that. People are asking themselves, am I doing this right or not? Things that you don't want to have in your emails are things like executives like you or industries like yours. You should be able to say CFOs, or you should be able to list 3 CPG companies. So if you're not able to put that level of specificity in your outreach because you're worried about it not being applicable to everybody it's going to, segment more.
Our buyers are really smart, and you're not tricking anybody with that personalization at scale. You talked about this a little bit earlier. Tech stack. Tech stacks are changing. The companies just buying tech and bloating up. Those days are gone. People are really trying to refine and dial in on need to have technology. What advice do you have for a sales org if they are about to evaluate their tech stack?
Talk to your reps. The amount of times I see decisions about tech stacks being made in a silo without actually talking to the reps about how they use it and is it important to them? If so, why? Survey your reps on how they feel about the tech that is in your tech stack and get an understanding for what pieces they see as like the cannot exist without pieces. They'll probably offer up some pieces that they're like, oh, you can cut that. Or we have 3 data providers, but really we only use these 2 because this data isn't very good, or because we can also find like they can help you consolidate the tech stack because they are the ones using it. The second thing is put yourself in the shoes of the person using the tech from an ease of use angle, both in, do we really want to roll out a new piece of tech? Like how much time is it going to take for our team to learn this and use this and even just like download it and do their new logon? Because that's all time away from doing the work of building pipeline that they want to be doing. Do we have a tech stack that's a bunch of incongruent pieces where I'm asking my reps to log on to 17 different platforms? And are there opportunities to integrate? Or are there opportunities to maybe expand a contract with one provider? Like if I can have one provider that does 3 things 90% as good versus having 3 different providers, you're probably going to get better overall usage and better overall ROI of the tech, because it's just easier for your reps.
We did this exercise at the beginning of the year, and our CEO made this point of, I think a lot of people overuse the word ROI. When we did our tech eval, not a single time did we use the term ROI. How does your life change if we take this away from you, right? And some of the responses were like, a tool you thought that they really needed, they didn't, and vice versa. So really getting a voice of your team is probably the best thing to start with. Right now, if you're a go-to-market leader with a smaller than usual budget, where should I be placing my bets in 2024?
Assistive technology. Don't spend your money on things that are being touted as replacive, because there is no tech out there that is really totally replacive. And then pairing that with the training, which usually should come from an external third-party trainer, on how to enable your reps with the skill sets and mindsets that will allow them to make the best use of your like in-house tech stack or in-house qualification process. I would still invest in upskilling, but not just on hard skills. Make sure that you're doing like the soft skills mindset stuff too.
Leslie, thank you so much for joining us. If folks are interested in Sales Team Builder or kind of getting more of your advice at a professional level, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. Yeah. LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn. I've been posting there every day for over 1,000 days. You can also find me on TikTok at Sales Tips Talk, or my website is just my name, leslievenetz.com.
Again, Leslie, thank you so much.